Taurus, since 2018, you've been in this cycle of rebelling against the status quo, disrupting normalcy, and innovating in order to carve out your most authentic path, even if it was not the conventional path. And that cycle has nearly come to a close. Hi all, my name is Haley Comet and welcome to my Cosmic Corner of the Internet, where we discuss all things astrology, and today, all things 12 Days of Cosmos Taurus 2025 edition. What the bulls have in store as they slowly and steadily plod into 2025, how the cosmos is working for and against you, and how it is that you can co-create with these celestial cycles and rhythms. I am truly over the moon, or should I say over Venus, since I'm talking to my Taurians, but I'm truly so excited to be bringing back this series, this time looking to 2025's astrology and what it has in store for each of the signs. If you're new to the series, I would most definitely recommend listening to your rising sign, your ascendant sign. That will be the most accurate look ahead at your 2025. I do utilize solar houses within my own personal practice, so you could also look at your sun sign. So this forecast may be the most relevant for my Taurus risings and my Taurus suns, but you're welcome to listen to your other placements. It may potentially be relevant in terms of aspects and whatnot, but most certainly listen to your rising sign and sun sign. I am posting every single sign within the month of December. The forecast will go live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So if your other signs are not on my channel, make sure to subscribe so you're updated right when I post them. And in case this is your first time to my Cosmic Corner, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Haley Comet. I am an astrologer who hones particularly on co-creative astrology, essentially how we can leverage and utilize these transits and work with them in order to make this week, this month, this year the most aligned and the most magical. I will always be forthright with the astrology that we're stepping into, but I will also seek to empower you with the astrology that you are stepping into. So if that feels in alignment, I would so appreciate your subscription. I do all signs forecasts every so often, and I also do a weekly horoscope series called Magic Monday that looks at the astrology and how you can make your life a little bit more magical amidst it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into Taurus's 2025 forecast, crystallizing your dreams into reality. So when painting a picture of 2025's astrology, I like to firstly pull out a defining transit for the year, which essentially could just be a transit that is the most influential, or at least when you think back to 2025, you will think, oh, 2025, that was the year that Pluto was in Aquarius. It is worth noting that Pluto has dabbled in the Aquarius territory of the sky over the past few years. It entered initially come March. It dabbled back and forth throughout 2024. And then in November 2024, it settled in for good. And Pluto will be in Aquarius, and thus, from a house perspective, your 10th house for the next 20 years. So it's not to say that this is the only year that you will experience Pluto in Aquarius, but I would consider it a defining transit because this is the first year in which Pluto has fully settled into the 10th house. So you may find, because it is a 20-year story, you're starting to see the Pluto transformation begin. Some of you, dependent on which degree you have your Taurus placements in, may even have a Pluto transit. So let's firstly get you familiar with the nuances of Pluto and Aquarius in your 10th house. Because the energy of your 10th house, what you need to know is that this is the highest horizon of your birth chart. This is how it is that we rise up to meet the public. And when we consider that Pluto is the planet of transformation and Pluto in Aquarius is about innovating, you may find that how it is that you meet the public is going through a transformation during this time. Now, this can indicate your career, your industry is going through something very Plutonian, or it will go through something Plutonian around, oh, I was working at this startup and we didn't get the funding that we needed, and now that particular company has now ceased to exist. Or, oh, I was in this particular industry, but now the tool that we were working on is no longer needed because innovations have surpassed it and found simpler ways. And now my industry is just dissolved. Again, I say this without any fear whatsoever because the nature of Pluto reminds us that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It simply changes forms. So just know, if you have gone through something with career around a promotion that you thought was going to feel snatched away, or you have some sort of major power struggle with the boss or authority figure that makes you shift gears, that makes you pivot, Pluto energy reminds us there's power in the pivot, and something will not get taken from your reality if the universe is not conspiring to bring you something, and potentially something even more aligned. And what I would even argue, Taurus, is you could step into a path throughout this next 20 years in which you are part of something, part of a team, part of a technology, part of an innovation, part of a legacy yourself that does change the world. Not to be dramatic, but truly, that does help people step towards the future, that does embolden novelty, innovation, new solutions, a new era. And for you to step into that and potentially be a way shower yourself, or be part of a team that is innovating or looking to disrupt something or do something different, it's so important to let go of how things were. Your ability to thrive during this transit is your ability to see opportunity. Aquarius is the sign of the future. It's very futuristic, and that's why oftentimes Aquarius placements can be like a step into the future. They start trends before other people do. They see opportunities before other people do. They are a step ahead. So there could be an energy in whichever scale this shows up for you, around being able to disrupt your workplace, disrupt your industry, even disrupt the world. I mean, Aquarius is a very humanitarian energy, and it's your ability to be able to not just dream about it, but put those visions into action in order to help your industry evolve, your workplace evolve, but also humanity evolve. And it's okay if at this moment you're not sure what this calling is, this legacy is. Pluto energy will get you there. And it also might not be invented yet. You know how many jobs are normal now that weren't even a thing 10 years ago? Like, your ability to pivot and to see opportunity is how it is that you're going to thrive during this time. If you cling to an outdated way of doing things around, well, this is how it's always been done, or this is what I've always done and I can't pivot. This is how my business operates. This is how my career operates. This transit may be a little bit more challenging. You know, Pluto is the energy of let go or be dragged. And so typically, you know, as a Taurus, you are a fixed sign, so you can be a little stubborn. And I would just really encourage you, if it feels like something is leaving, it's like, okay, the industry is not here anymore. This is not what humans are on board with. It's important to see where it is that you can shift gears, where it is that you can pivot, and to pay attention to opportunities that you see, like even innovations that you see or ideas that come up within you. And again, this is a long transit. So the invention of the technological company that you might be the CEO of hasn't even been invented. The groundbreaking medicine that cures the common cold that you'll be on the research and development team hasn't even been discovered yet. Your role might not be invented yet or conceptualized yet, or even what it is that you want to start a business in might not have even been dreamed up yet. Like, that's the very nature of Pluto and Aquarius. Things are moving very fast. And of course, the obvious example of Pluto and Aquarius is AI. I'm not saying everybody needs to work in AI. But I do feel that with the energy of 10th house, you may find your industry or your career is revolutionized by AI in some way. And I think the best thing that you can do when moving into this, of course, there's ethical concerns with any sort of innovation. Like, things are moving so fast with Pluto and Aquarius that people aren't slowing down to really like contemplate the effects, right? The widespread effects. But I think we do such a disservice when it comes to this transit, whether it's AI or anything else, when we try to deny it. Like, these tools can be groundbreaking. We can't deny technology. It is part of our consciousness. And so with the energy of Pluto in the 10th house, really looking at whether it's AI or other technological advancements and really seeing how it can help rather than hinder, help your work, your career, your reputation, even if it means pivoting in some way, even if it means rebranding, even if it means changing your offerings, even if it means that you're able to replicate yourself via using some of these tools to free up more of your time and energy. See where it is that you can work with these systems if it does come up. Again, AI is just an example. It could be other technologies as well. If you're listening to this and you're like, Haley, comment, I'm in law school right now, or I'm starting to be a doctor, or you're in a job that you like, I'm not saying that everybody's going to go through a job loss this year or even this transit. But what I would say with Pluto's influence here is that you may go through transformation as it relates to your career. You could really step up as a leader. Pluto is about power. Particularly with Pluto and Aquarius, you could use your leadership in order to further the visions that you have for humanity, what it is that you believe in, the change that you want to see. That could be something that you infuse within your workplace now in order to help on a larger level. you know, Pluto in Aquarius is a very revolutionary transit, but I'm not saying we need to like burn down all of the structures as they are. Sometimes it starts small. Sometimes it's just working at your law firm and seeing what it is that you can disrupt in order to make things more fair or more equitable, or working at your bank and seeing where it is that you could do the same. Think globally in terms of the change and the innovation and the humanitarian beliefs that you have, but see where it is that you can act locally, particularly as it relates to your career. Again, just because you have a smaller sphere of influence, or you feel like it's just my law firm, it's just my bank, how could that help? It does help. These little efforts do catch up. And it's worth noting that 10th house is also around your reputation. And some of you who work for yourself, or you're a celebrity, who knows who's watching this video? You never know, you never know. But if you are somebody who does have a lot of eyes on you, the energy of Pluto, you may have some haters. You may go through this need to have to pivot your reputation in some regard. You know, Pluto brings out the shadow side energies. So you could find that there's like energy vampires, or people speaking ill on your name or trying to bring you down. You could feel power struggles when it comes to bosses and authority figures, people who are trying to essentially siphon your light or keep you smaller. But I want to let you know, in whichever fashion or way that that shows up for you, people do not try to tear people down unless they consider them in some way a threat. And that's kind of the vibe with Pluto in the 10th house. You know, your boss might think you're a threat. Authority figures might think you're a threat. The general public, in some degree, might be a little threatened by you. Maybe you're doing things really different. Again, I don't say this to fearmonger whatsoever, but I would just say, with the energy of Pluto 10th house, you can find that you have a more polarizing or a more extreme effect when it comes to being in the public eye. People could have a lot of opinions about you. Again, you could elicit very strong emotions from people. But I share this not to scare you, but to really tell you that this can be an asset, truly. Even with Pluto energy, we can go through times in which, you know, there's bad press, or we go through a flop era or something of the nature. Pluto is resilience. So with Pluto in 10th house, while it could ask you to pivot, you know, industries, jobs, or even direction if you are somebody in the public eye, Pluto energy gives us resilience. It gives us willpower to continually rise again. Like, you cannot keep someone who has a Pluto transit down. Truly, you will continually rise above and rise above and rise above. And that's what you need to continue to tell yourself, Taurus. And to know that Pluto is around transmutation, it's around transformation and alchemy. So if a lot of people are talking about you, if there's a lot of attention, you're eliciting all these strong reactions out of people, energy is energy. It doesn't matter if it's ill intent or if it's positive intent. People are still giving you energy, and you can harvest it for your own usage. I mean, celebrities do this all the time, truly, because they elicit strong reactions in people. And it's worth noting that Pluto governs the psyche. So if you're finding that you're eliciting all of these intense reactions from people, either like at your workplace, or you're an influencer from, you know, the internet, things of that nature, if you're eliciting a lot of reactions from people, it's so rarely about you. It's like really what people are projecting onto you, or where it is that you're triggering them, things of that nature. And it's important not to take it personally. Like Pluto in Aquarius, I will say that, is a little helpful in terms of detaching from it and detaching from the more polarizing effect that you could have on people in a very public way, or at least in terms of your career. And you might find, like, why is my boss hating on me so much? Why are these trolls in my comments saying this, that, and the third? Don't take it personally, firstly. And secondly, know that they are throwing you energy, and you can alchemize that. You could put that towards your own success. Our energy is the most valuable currency that we have. So people are paying you attention, whether it's positive attention or negative attention, they're paying you attention throughout this transit. And you can alchemize it. You can turn it into fuel. This is why, you know, spite can be powerful, right? If someone's like doubting you or trying to hold you back or having power struggles with you, you can alchemize that into fuel to getting even more intentional with what it is that you want to create, the power that you want to arise to throughout this time. Because truly, I do feel that a lot of you are really stepping up as leaders. Stepping up as leaders within this new era, not just for yourself, but even for humanity. Even if you don't work, you could be part of some sort of altruistic organization. You could have some sort of passion project that is meant to help humanity move towards the future. And so I do feel that a lot of you are rising to a new level of power. And with power comes this negative attention that I'm speaking of, which of course I've detailed it in some more extreme examples, but it can also come through around maybe you're stepping up as the boss and you're having to really step into your power in order to give directions, in order to delegate. And not everybody likes that. And so with the energy of Pluto, it's also getting comfortable being the bad guy. Again, be a nice boss, please, lead with integrity, but Pluto energy can be supporting you in not taking it personally or being too influenced by, people's emotions or their feedback for you. Because when it comes to being the boss, people are just gonna have an opinion of everything that you do. And if you work for yourself, same goes. With Pluto in the 10th house, you might pivot your business in some way and people may have opinions about it. And the energy of Pluto really asks you to not play to the midline or teach to the midline or brand for the midline. Like, stop trying to make your business for everyone, or stop trying to be the perfect boss for everyone. Like, if you try to be for everyone, you'll be for no one because you'll be so watered down. And the energy of Pluto is embracing, hey, yeah, it might be kind of frustrating for members of my team when I'm saying that we need to redo this project because it's not meeting the standards of what it is that we want to create. Not every customer of mine might be on board with my pivot. There might be certain ways that I'm branding that does not speak to certain people, but the nature of Pluto is around embracing intensity and knowing that Pluto is power for a reason. People who are powerful are more magnetic. And again, when you are more powerful, when you're more magnetic, people will have something to say about it. And so with the energy of Pluto in the 10th house, there could be an invitation around how it is that you want to alchemize that, transmute it, and detach from any sort of negative attention that may come your way. It would not be my recommendation to rage bait or to do things intentionally to elicit an extreme reaction. But the very nature of Pluto in Aquarius is to thine own self be true energy. It even sextiles the North Node in Aries in January, the beginning of this year, which is trailblazer energy. So it's not being extreme just to get a reaction. It's being extreme in order to lead, in order to change things, in order to innovate, in order to show up and meet the general public as a very authentic version of yourself and embodying the authentic change that you want to see within this world. And I do want to highlight that some of you will experience a Pluto transit, and that intensifies these themes of rebirth and transformation tenfold. And that is the nature for you if you have any Taurus placements between 1 degree to 3 degrees. You will have a Pluto transit, and thus you are being asked to burn something down and rebuild, reinvention. Because whether you're having a Pluto transit or not, 2025 is going to show the Tauruses, especially in the realm of career, public persona, and reputation, there is power in the pivot. So Taurus, to figure out what you'll be up to within the year 2025, we need to figure out what your ruling planet is up to within the year 2025. So as a Taurus, you are ruled by Venus, the planet of love, beauty, pleasure. And we have a Venus retrograde this year, which as a Taurus, you are more influenced by. Venus's journey is quite interesting because she starts in Aries, which is territory that your ruler does not like to be in, but ends her retrograde journey in Pisces, which is a sign that your ruling planet loves to be in. So this Venus retrograde is essentially taking your ruling planet from hell to heaven. It's taking it through extremes. And again, Venus in Aries, it is a hyperbole. It's not that bad, but the energies are incompatible. And that's an even more interesting story when we pull in the houses that it's bringing up for you. Because ultimately, Venus retrograde is a time around tying up loose ends from the past, completing the incomplete, reflecting on the past before we bulldoze into the future. And you are going to do a lot of that. Because Venus starts its retrograde journey in your 12th house, which is the final house of the zodiac. And so when we think about Venus's discomfort in the sign Aries, Venus is in its detriment in the sign Aries. It does not like to be here. Aries is much too fiery and action-oriented for the sensual luxury of Venus energy. Well, when we think about how uncomfortable it is in Aries and then pull in that it starts in your 12th house, it feels that there will be an energy alive where you may revisit certain uncomfortable parts of your past. This could absolutely relate to past lovers. This could absolutely relate to past experiences that you did not fully process or deal with. There could be some uncomfortable realities from your past that do surface during this retrograde. Not to get stuck there, not to identify with it. You know, when we talk about Aries energy, we talk about identity energy. You also have Chiron within the 12th house throughout the entirety of 2025. It's not involved in this particular Venus retrograde, but it is also in this 12th house. And the nature of 12th house are things that are beneath the surface. It's our subconscious. It's our skeletons in the closet. It's the things that we don't always process or deal with. It's our self-sabotaging behaviors. It's our escapist tendencies. And so there feels to be, with the Aries part of this Venus retrograde story, this plunge into where you've been before in order to fully tie up those loose ends and to really step into your new chapter, because that is what is aligning for you this year. We'll get into that in a moment. 12th house is the house of endings. And so you may find throughout this retrograde journey that you are processing endings that have transpired for you and how those affected you and shaped you and even affected how it is that you see yourself with the energy of Aries. Again, what we do not bring to the light and heal grows in the darkness. And a lot of times the things that we have not dealt with, it is so woven into our subconscious that we're not even aware that it's impacting how it is that we see the world. It's worth noting when we look at a birth chart, 12th house is right by the first house. First house is how it is that we look out at the world and how the world looks at us. I think of us looking out into the first house, and 12th house is right behind us, right? So it's like behind your eyeball. It's all of the stuff that impacts how it is that you look out at the world, how it is that you see yourself, that you're not conscious of. So the gift and the challenge of the Venus retrograde, particularly the first part of it, is that there might be some old stuff that is being brought to light. You're bringing the unconscious to conscious. Maybe it's coming out in therapy. Maybe there's elements of where you're feeling triggered within your relationship that is making you dig deeper into where these processes are coming from. Maybe it's even a diving into your own worthiness, to what it is that you find valuable about yourself, what it is that you find beautiful about yourself, and where these tendencies came from. Like the energy of 12th house, there's these seeds, there's these acorns of where these stories come from that can shape our lives in very visible, tangible ways, but we won't be conscious of it until we do the work, until we kind of dig deeper and think, where did I learn that my value is so embedded into how it is that I look? Or where did I learn that for me to receive love, I need to do A, B, and C, or I need to look this particular way? Or where did I learn that I need to protect myself by being in fight or flight mode and not letting anybody in too close? Where did this come from? And with the energy of Venus retrograde, it could be an invitation to really go deep within yourself and really ask yourself, where did this come from? Getting to the seed, getting to the root of where these stories were planted and growing like weeds in the darkness. Like this is energy of bringing what has existed within the darkness to light, because the 12th house is the hidden house. And when we consider Venus, your ruler, being the planet of beauty and love in the hidden house, I want to prepare you and say that you may feel less beautiful. You may feel less valuable. You may feel like you are a little bit in your flop era when Venus is retrograde in the 12th house. And I want to let you know this is not the cosmos doing this to you. It's doing this for you. In that when Venus is in the 12th house, sometimes we can feel like we're getting less romantic attention. And especially with Venus in the very independent energy of Aries, it could drive you to come inward around, why am I so reliant on romantic attention in order to feel like I am valuable? Where can I romance myself or make myself feel beautiful and not outsource my own validation in other people's eyes? Or even if you feel less beautiful during this time, coming inward and really contemplating, why is it so important to me to be perceived as beautiful? I mean, you are beautiful, you're ruled by Venus, but really when it comes to Venus retrograde, sometimes we have to look in the mirror, because if we're very reliant on romantic attention or very reliant on looking a particular way, Venus retrograde will sometimes create the conditions where that feels hidden or distant from us in some way. Not to be mean, but for you to really contemplate the role of that within your life. Like, I feel like some of you could really be doing some conscious work during this time around decentering, like romantic attention, if you find that your value is wrapped up into receiving it. And during Venus retrograde, this could be an opportunity that you are, not dating as much, or you're consciously putting a pause to that, to really question what the role is that it plays within your life and what you make it mean about you. with the energy of Aries being identity, feeling like I am valuable if I have a romantic partner, I'm not valuable if I don't. I am beautiful if I get hit on when I'm out, and I am not beautiful if nobody ever looks at me. Like with Venus retrograde, it's really diving inward into what people cannot see, getting clear in your values, getting clear in what it is that makes you beautiful, like to a soul level, and really reclaiming that for yourself. Aries is a very independent, self-sufficient energy. And so I feel some of you are really doing some work around not fearing your solitude during this time. Some of you, if you are in a relationship that does not feel aligned for your pathway forward, I do feel like Venus retrograde will be a time of really contemplating any sort of fear that you have of being alone. And it's not to say that everybody will go through a breakup, but I feel that some of you, if you've been wanting to leave, you desire to leave, but you're scared of being alone, Venus retrograde could make you kind of get to the roots of either where that's coming from or even how it is that you can reframe the story to not see being alone as something that's empty, but something that's very full with spirit, with you, with getting to know yourself to a deeper level. Because I don't think fear of being alone is a valid enough reason to stay in a relationship where we are deeply unsatisfied and where we've been unsatisfied, which may be the story for a couple of you. Don't worry, not every Taurus is going through a breakup, but Venus retrograde could make you question your own relationship with your own solitude and potentially your own fears around your solitude. And 12th house is the house of self-undoing, self-sabotage. And so Venus retrograde could also make you question where it is that you are self-sabotaging. Like the energy of Aries would imply maybe there's some self-sabotaging behaviors around being, impulsive or reckless. 12th house can deal with addictions of all sorts, and particularly with Venus, addictions that we find pleasure in. And with Venus retrograde, maybe even seeing what we're really trying to fill, like the void that we're really trying to fill. Whether it's with, food, with romance, with working, with thrill seeking, with gambling, whatever it is, Venus retrograde asks you to get to the root of that around what am I really seeking to fill here? Because anything really could be a form of self-undoing. We could go to excess with things, even if we find pleasure in it. Because listen, you're a Taurus, you're here to live a very indulgent, beautiful life. But with the energy of your ruler in the 12th house, it might make you contemplate, are there certain ways that I'm seeking pleasure that are not helpful for me? Some of you might even ask, is romance a way that I check out? Because the energy of Aries has to do with like adrenaline, right? And the rush of new things, of initiation. And so some of you could be like consciously breaking a cycle around even like toxic relationships that exist in these highs and lows, right? In that dopamine rush when you get back together, and the toxic cycles of fighting and the ups and downs, that also can be an addiction, and maybe one that you are releasing or reworking during this time. Now, some of you could dream of an ex, or you could be contemplating these past romantic cycles. Even if this is not part of your universe, it's contemplating where this is embedded in your psyche. Like maybe you're out of that toxic relationship, but you're dating and you're looking for that high-low, when that is not territory that you want to return back to. That is a form of self-undoing, returning back to that. Just because it's familiar and comfortable does not mean that's where you need to be or should be. And so with Venus retrograde, it's really this invitation around where can I get off this roller coaster of craving this high, craving this adrenaline rush when it relates to love. Of course, Venus can also bring money themes, so that would bring up things like gambling or spending lots of money, doing things that are reckless and destructive for that high, for that adrenaline rush, maybe something that you are contemplating at this time. And if you are in a relationship, again, it's not to say that it's going to cease to exist or anything of that nature, but Venus retrograde could really be asking you around, who am I being within this relationship? How are my subconscious patterns and my past influencing this particular relationship? You may find that you are craving more solitude during this time. It's like a little bit of a hermit era. Not to stay there, but just to really contemplate and do the inner work. Then from March 27th until April 12th, Venus will retrograde back into Pisces. Like I said, Venus likes being in Pisces. So your ruler goes from territory where it's uncomfortable. It's dealing with uncomfortable hidden truths. It's dealing with uncomfortable parts of our own identity that we've pushed into the shadows. When Venus moves into Pisces, it's almost like getting into a hot tub on a cold night. Like it is that energy of relief. And even though Venus is comfy cozy in this hot tub, so to speak, there is still a focus, there is still a review, a reworking. But now the focus shifts to your friendships, to your connections. So like I said, there's parts of this Venus retrograde where you could be alone or you could feel alone, or you might be craving more solitude. And then when Venus retrogrades back into Pisces, thus your 11th house, the focus is really around your networks, your community. I really think if we can get comfortable with our solitude and no longer fear it, we get a lot more choosy with who it is that we want to spend time with. Because when we are dependent around always needing to have like a friend or a buddy or someone we're texting or someone that we are dating, like when we're so dependent on people, we are less selective because it's like, okay, we'll take what it is that we could get, right? There always needs to be a spot filled. But when people who come in your life are competing with your solitude, that's when your standards are much higher, because it's like, I've learned to be alone. I've learned to enjoy my own space and time. And so now my standards of what it is that I require for a friend, it's higher. Because I'm good on my own. I enjoy being on my own. I've conquered the skeletons in my closet or why I was scared of just sitting within my own space. I've conquered that. And the focus is then around who am I connected to? Who are my friendships? And where do they fill me up? Where do they make me feel more inspired for the future? Because 11th house, it's the dreams that we have, and it's the people that we build those dreams with. That's the energy of 11th house. And so with Venus retrograde, this can be a time that you're really contemplating, like, am I inspired by my network? Do I really feel like they are like-minded? This can bring up themes of your audience. If you are on social media, this could bring up themes of your colleagues within your network. It could bring up themes of your friendships. And again, Venus retrograde does ask us to rework it a little bit. So Venus retrograde can ask you, do I feel inspired by the people that I'm around? Do I feel that they are like-minded? Do I feel that there is a respect for the dreams that I'm building as I respect the dreams that they're building? So cliche, you hear it all the time, but truly you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And Venus retrograde could really make you question, if I swapped lives with the 5 people that I spend the most time with, would that be an accurate reflection of my values or what it is that I want to create for my future? Because ultimately, that is the essence of the 11th house. And Venus retrograde in the 11th will make you question, my life is heading somewhere. My life is heading somewhere. And if we are not conscious of that it is going somewhere, we have the danger of it potentially going somewhere that we do not want it to go. And that's why it's important to have these check-in points via Venus retrograde, in this case, where you open up a map around, if I keep doing what it is that I've been doing, if I keep going in this direction, if I keep hanging out with these people, am I gonna like what I'm going to get? And with Venus retrograde, it could be like a little bit of a reflection energy around really looking at the people you're surrounded by, really looking at the hopes and dreams that you're building, and really asking yourself if that is what you envision for yourself. Venus will be in Pisces. It's exaltation, but also a very dreamy, imaginative energy. You have a lot concentrated 11th house this year, Taurus. This is a year that you could bring your dreams to reality. It might take a lot of hard work. You've got Saturn there, but you can bring your dreams to reality. So Venus retrograde asks you, what am I dreaming about? Am I dreaming big enough? If the cosmos was a genie and could give me my hopes and dreams, am I dreaming big enough? And again, with Venus retrograde, it's not necessarily the time that you need to launch all the things and totally change your life, but Venus retrograde could just make you reflect on it. And if you are moving through some sort of ending within your world, you're completing some sort of chapter, it helps to have dreams that you're working towards. So if something ended that you did not think was going to end, you had to complete a chapter that you were not anticipating completing, or you had something really disappointing come up. Again, Venus retrograde in the 12th house asks us to deal with what's hidden, with what's beneath the surface. But with Venus retrograde, it asks, okay, how can I fill this energy constructively? Rather than coping with this loss in destructive methods, which sometimes Venus retrograde in Aries in the 12th house can be, seeking to fill the void via excess of shopping, excess of spending, excess of pleasure seeking, things of that nature. When Venus retrogrades back in the 11th house, it's like, how can I put more of this energy towards things that will benefit me within the future? Being part of communities that feel like-minded, making my dreams a reality. Whenever something gets taken from my life, I get really excited, legitimately. If someone betrays me, if someone does me dirty, if something doesn't work out, I have trained myself to get excited because I know that the universe does not take things away without giving us something in return. And to me, it signals that now that I can withdraw my energy from that, I can put it towards something else. And again, feel your feelings about it, certainly, but the reason that I get excited about it after I've processed and dealt with the heartache or the shock or the disappointment is because I know that now that my energy has permission to fully withdraw from this source, I get excited because usually it's the universe setting me up around new pockets of where I'm meant to put this energy, new things entering my life now that things that were not meant to be have fallen away. And so with Venus retrograde, it could also be asking you, like, what are my visions and hopes and dreams? Because I will say, in processing any sort of heartache or loss or disappointment, like, definitely feel it. But what I would invite you to do, especially when Venus dips into the 11th house, the house of hopes and dreams, is to see now that this thing is removed, or now that I consciously stepped away from this bad habit, or this particular chapter of my life that was consuming a lot of my energy is no longer there, how can I reallocate my energy accordingly? So if something is removed from your life with Venus retrograde in 11th house, ask yourself, what could this be opening up for my future? Maybe this particular project didn't work out, but it opened me up so I have more space and time to work on this creative project. Maybe I let go of a certain relationship, but it opened up space for me to reconnect with an old friend. The universe does not take things away without giving us something better. And sometimes even just sitting in it and contemplating, why am I so triggered within this? Or what did this teach me? Sometimes even that discovery and that journey of what it opens up helps us within our pathway forward. And I do want to let you know, Taurus, that Venus retrograde can have you rethinking your friendship, seeing if your values are aligned. It can also bring friends from the past back around. You could hear from someone that you were not anticipating, not expecting. It's worth noting, you're not ruled by Mercury, but Venus and Mercury are like neck and neck. They have like almost the same retrograde journey this year. They're covering similar territories of the sky, but you could absolutely hear from friends from the past. But again, just because they're part of your past doesn't mean that they necessarily need to be part of your future. You could also contemplate what you used to want for your future, how you used to envision your future, your dreams that you used to have, even when you were younger. You know, if you deal with something that comes to an end, Venus retrograde in 11th house asks you, what did I used to dream about? Like, why don't I write poetry any longer? Or why don't I play the drums any longer? Like, Venus retrograde could be a return to an old vision, to an old dream. And I do want to highlight, Taurus, that this is starting a new cycle for you in more ways than one. Like, again, there is an energy to make peace with the past, heal and process the past in order to build towards your future. But I also want to highlight that your ruling planet is being reborn, in a sense, during this retrograde. So to understand this, we need to get familiar with Venus's dance through the cosmos. I mean, Venus governs beauty, and it creates the most beautiful formation in the sky, this like dance with the sun. So I want to let you know that the sun and Venus get together in March 2025, which does start a new cycle of sorts. Now, it takes 8 years to complete this entire like rose formation, but I do want to highlight that there is like an inner connection being made via the inferior conjunction on March 22nd, 2025. That can be an invitation to, begin again. Last time this occurred was August 2023 when Venus was retrograde in Leo. So you can feel themes from that time even come to the surface or are revisited in some way or reflected on some way, or even that's part of the cycle that you are concluding and closing out that might be part of it. Technically, the Venus star point that we're in now started Libra season of 2022. So maybe even themes of that could come to the surface. But ultimately, I do want to let you know that this spring in the Northern Hemisphere, your ruling planet is reborn as a morning star. So there is this energy of this like new cycle initiating. So there is this push out into the world. There is this new beginning energy aligning for you around this retrograde. Again, it's a new beginning because you're processing and making peace with the past, and even some of you ridding yourself from habits, people, places, things, stories that do not align, setting you up for this new beginning. But I want to let you know that your ruling planet essentially disappears for 8 days. And again, with Venus retrograde in your 12th house, you could feel this call around wanting to hermit and withdraw and not to stay withdrawn. Like, I want to echo that and emphasize that, is that you could really use this kind of hermit space, this solitude, very intentionally in order to feel reborn. Because after Venus disappears for 8 days, it is reborn as a morning star. So you start this year with your ruling planet as an evening star. Now, when Venus is an evening star, this means it's literally visible in the evening sky. February 16th, so 2 days after Valentine's Day. How romantic is that? Venus will be the brightest that it's been for a long time. So definitely go out and look at that. And admire your ruler looking beautiful in the sky. But essentially, within the first portion of the year, Venus is an evening star. And beyond its literal visibility, if you do like to sky watch, it also represents this more other-focused energy. It's a little bit more harmonious. It's a little bit more sociable. It wants everybody to get along. It's kind of the energy of evening star. It also can be a little bit more thoughtful, a little bit more reflective. And so you may feel that. And then when Venus is reborn as a morning star after the conjunction on March 22nd, the morning star shifts the focus. Morning star is a little bit more self-oriented, and I think that's also significant when we think about it happening in Aries. The reason Venus doesn't like being in Aries is because Venus is about bringing the people together, right? Connection, which is such a beautiful facet of life. But Aries is around self, independence, self-sufficiency. So I feel that this could be a turning point where some of you are like, F it, like no one's gonna get me what I want besides myself. I need to advocate for myself. I need to assert myself. I need to not be fearful of doing things on my own if it's something that I desire. I need to go after what it is that I want. And for some of you, it could even be around being a little bit more assertive. If there are people within your orbit that are mistreating you or things of that nature, this could be the start of a more like assertive new chapter for you. And so the cycle or the petal that you are closing out, the seed Venus was August 13th, 2023. So maybe certain themes came up during that Venus retrograde in Leo that are being revisited now. Maybe there's elements of what came up during that time that are being reworked or reevaluated or even released. And you're stepping into this new cycle. And this new, essentially, cycle, again, it's part of a larger cycle, but this new part of the journey will go until October 22nd, 2026. So you're completing one chapter and you are starting a new one. And you are being reborn as this morning star. And so just seeing where it is that you want to take into account this more action-oriented energy, going after what it is that you want, self-driven energy. You might surprise yourself because Taurus is typically a very patient and intentional energy. But with this new cycle starting in Aries, you might find that there's an energy around being impatient when it comes to what it is that you want out of life and just knowing that no one can get you what it is that you want. Like if you've been trying to play it nice and just hoping and praying that one day people will see my value or one day this person will treat me right. Like with this energy of morning star, it's like, no, I need to make this happen. I need to assert that I should get paid more. I need to make it clear what my boundaries are here. I'm not going to self-sabotage my relationship with you by just hoping that one day you figure it out. You could just find that you're in this energy around being unapologetic when it comes to your desires and getting what it is that you want out of this experience and being less interested what other people necessarily have to say about it. I see a lot of you are really stepping in this energy that it's better to be alone than surrounded by company that is not good for you. That's alive within a lot of the astrology. And I do feel, we'll get into this in the next section, I do feel that aligned contacts are coming into your world, but they're coming into your world because you are intentionally clearing space from people who are not aligned, opportunities that are not aligned, things that are not aligned for you. And rather than just waiting and playing it safe, like with this new morning star energy, with this Venus star point aligning in Aries, there is this energy where you are either cutting people off, you are telling people what it is that you want, you're going after what it is that you want. You're gonna surprise yourself. You could definitely unlock a new side of yourself. And maybe this is because of this reflection energy of Venus retrograde, around really looking inward, or around why did I allow myself to get disrespected within that particular situation? Why did I allow my value to be brought into question? Why did I allow someone to make me feel insecure about my looks, or what have you? There could be reflection energy that's kind of encouraging or inspiring this new lease on life that a lot of you are stepping into around absolutely not, no more. I've made peace with the past, but I'm claiming my future. And that is informing people how I will be treated. That is stepping into my value and embodying it within all of my opportunities. And that is being intentional and selective with who I have within my network, within my community, within my friendship. So as I highlighted, your ruling planet will move retrograde within the 11th house. And it's not alone there. You have quite a bit of energy concentrated in the 11th house, so let's get into it. So first things first, let's talk about the planet that we don't necessarily love to talk about because it tends to be in the life arena of what's a little hard. And that is Saturn. Saturn, for most of the year, is in your 11th house. It goes into your 12th house from May 24th until September 1st when Saturn enters Aries. But beyond that, May to September, Saturn will mostly be in the 11th house. And wherever Saturn's transiting through makes us take a very discerning, hard look at that arena. And so you're really looking at your friendships this year. We see it with Venus retrograde, we see it with Saturn here. You're really looking at who it is that you are around. If you do create content online, you could be really thinking about your audience and what it is that you want to share with them. You could be really thinking about your colleagues. You could be really thinking about your hopes and dreams, like I said. And with the energy of Saturn, some of these lessons or reflections might be a little hard. You might be feeling a little more distant from some of your friends. Maybe you moved away from them in some regard. Maybe you're just seeing that with time, you all are building in different directions, which sometimes can be heartbreaking because we want, our friends, our network to be there with us within every season of our lives. But to grow means to outgrow. And there is an ask to really embrace who is coming into this experience and who potentially could be leaving it. And again, that could also show up with followers, with subscribers, even like colleagues, that you've grown close with. Like there could be an energy of Saturn around time just kind of revealing that you're on different paths. And with the energy of Saturn, some of you could be a little guarded, with who it is that you're really allowing into your circle. You could be really emphasizing quality rather than quantity of people that you are around. With Venus retrograde, some of you could have processed past friendship hurts or really be reflecting on your friendships. And maybe for some of you, if you went through a friendship breakup, like with Saturn, there could be an energy around, I don't want to get it hurt again, at least not in the same way. So I'm going to be a little bit more discerning. I'm not going to let people in as easily. And again, maybe that's wise to be intentional with who it is that you're allowing into your inner circle. But some of you are going to connect with some soulmates this year. Truly, like soulmates can show up in many different forms. Soulmates can show up in terms of followers. Soulmates can show up in terms of friends, bandmates, even like organizations, groups where we connect with certain people who are on a similar soul trajectory as us. Embrace soulmates coming in. I'm not saying that because of Saturn. I'm saying that because the North Node is also here. And so wherever the North Node is transiting is a place of gain. And it's also a place of focus. And for the most part, wherever the North Node is where the eclipses are. And eclipses tend to bring faded things in and out of our reality. Now, the North Node will be in Pisces this year. It enters at the very beginning of 2026. Pisces is very soulful. It's very spiritual. So again, I do feel that some of you are going to connect with someone this year where you're like, do I know you? From a prior life? Like, why does my soul feel so comfortable with you? I feel like I've known you before. And again, with 11th house, it doesn't always show up around like a new bestie or something of that nature. There could be like someone within your network, someone within your community that really inspires you, that enlivens you, that reveals to you who it is that you are. Because again, people that you're drawn to or who you deeply admire can be like mirrors, reflecting certain things to you about you, or even reflecting certain things about your potential or certain elements of yourself that you want to tap into and embody even more so. So pay attention to the people that are coming into your orbit, because I just feel like with the combination of North Node here in Saturn, it's like, yes, you could be putting distance with friends who don't feel aligned. There could be certain friends where their true colors are revealed. Things get brought to light that aren't particularly pleasant to deal with. But it is clearing space. Like I do see if some of you have a friendship breakup or you're processing or dealing with a friendship breakup, it's so that you would have the space for these new kind of like soul family people to come into your orbit. And embracing that. Again, sometimes we have new seasons of our life that we are stepping into. And with North and 11th house, it's embracing. With this new season of my life, I might have new cast members, right? And with Venus retrograde, I can certainly integrate all of the lessons of the past. I can learn where I need more boundaries with friendships. That can also be a Saturn and Pisces story. But with North Node, embracing new people that can come into your orbit with your security measures in place, with the lessons internalized, but embracing the new. Right? Embracing the new people that can come into your orbit that can inspire you to make your dreams a reality. This is really what I want to communicate to you, Taurus. The cosmos are aligned very beautifully for you this year to really make your dreams real. Because you are somebody who moves slowly and intentionally towards what it is that you want. And with this concentrated in 11th house, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. You've got Saturn here, but with North Node in the sector, you can have some of your hopes and dreams come to life. Because even if we think of Saturn, it's around materializing, it's around building, and Pisces is the ether. So taking things from your own visions and anchoring them into reality, that can be your world this year. Again, you got to work with it. Saturn energy, delayed gratification, hard work, discipline energy. But with the North Node here, I feel you're going to be ambitious this year. I feel you're going to be more likely to want to network, to want to expand your reach, to want to be in the midst of people that you find inspiring, and to build your dreams because you are so inspired. And that energy may be the most potent or the most alive around the eclipses. While you have North Node in Pisces and 11th house asking you to focus on making your dreams reality, networking with the people that will help you make your dreams a reality, you're being asked to let go of some elements of your 5th house, because this is where the South Node is. And South Node is a bit like a vacuum in that it is a place of decrease, or kind of sucks up the clutter or what's not meant to be there. A lot of you can find this year that you are consciously releasing habits, the energy of Virgo, of how it is that you spend your leisure time. 5th house. 5th house is things such as video games, things such as sports, it's things such as computer games, it's things such as gambling. You fill in the blank how it is that you spend your leisure time. Because 5th house is the fun house. And I'm not saying that this year won't be fun. I just feel that a lot of you have your focus on the future, making your dreams a reality and connecting with the people who will make your dreams a reality. And with South Node in the 5th house, letting go of things where it's like, what was really the point of that? Like, what did that really help me build to? Like, okay, I played 3 hours of video games. Was that a wise usage of my time? Some of you could be looking at things like that. Some of you could find that you are less inclined to date, this year. Dating just for fun, at least. Like, you really are focused on the future that you want to build. So if you've been kind of like hooking up or just like being a little bit more lighthearted with it, you might feel that you're just like less apt. You're less motivated within that arena. You also might find that you feel a little less creative this year. And don't panic for my Taurus creatives. I just feel like with the energy of 11th house, there could be group stuff that might be like inspiring to you, like meeting with communities or, joining a writing group if you're not feeling as inspired when it comes to writing. Like, there's a focus around people, who it is that you are connecting with. And so the Virgo eclipses March 13th and September 21st might particularly bring that to light. Now I want to talk about the Aries solar eclipse that lands on March 29th, 2025. This eclipse is a bit of an outlier. With most eclipses, they will land in the signs of where the North and South nodes are transiting. And so for most of the year, the North node will be in Pisces, the South node will be in Virgo. So a lot of your eclipse story is around networks versus creativity. It's around dreams for the future, enjoyment of the present. That's what's being brought to light. Now, this eclipse in Aries kind of brings about your past year and a half of growth and of discovery, which has been in the 12th house. So this 12th house energy is not foreign to you. If you were listening to me talk about Venus Retrograde in the 12th house and you're like, Haley, comment, I've already been doing work around my solitude. I've already been up-leveling my spirituality. Amazing. You're so aligned with North Node and Aries. But I would say that this is kind of like the graduating eclipse for that story around really embracing what it is that you've learned there, embracing the gems that you've excavated in this time of solitude, the new spiritual gifts that you've unearthed. This eclipse does align with Mercury. So I just feel like some of you could be like downloading or channeling, or at least trusting your intuition more, trusting your gut instinct. Aries is like immediate energy. And so some of you can find that this eclipse kind of brings that to the surface around proof, around, ooh, I had a certain instinct around that and I didn't listen to it. And now I see that I was right. Like some of you could have that moment in March where you realize like, dang it, I knew, like part of me knew and I didn't listen. I had dreams that told me about this. Or maybe you did tell a friend, you told a friend your instinct around it. You might have like a told you so type of energy around this eclipse, around honoring what an accurate conduit you are for information, just in terms of your intuition, in terms of your instincts, in terms of even your dreams revealing certain information to you. That could be a story with this solar eclipse. Now, particularly dreams, Taurus, I want to highlight because for a majority of the year, aka from March 30th until October 22nd, Neptune will be in Aries. This joins the 12th house party. So I definitely feel some of you are stepping into new intuitive gifts, spiritual gifts, or even maybe they've been there, but you're trusting them more in 2025. Your dreams could be crazy, okay? I gotta keep it real with you. Your dreams could be crazy. The desire to escape could be highlighted. And again, Venus retrograde is making you get clear around where it is that you self-sabotage, and Neptune energy can tempt you. Because a lot of times when we break through, when we level up, you know, when we finally kick a bad habit, when we finally get clear on something, it's not to say that that temptation won't be there. Like, that temptation is always going to be there. And Neptune energy can be a bit of a siren's call. And with it in this territory, there could be a bit of a siren's call around something that you know is not good for you. Think about sirens. There's rocks, like their voices might sound beautiful. It might sound alluring to fill the void with an adrenaline rush or with a dopamine hit or what have you. But there is an energy around you don't want what's really there. But there is an energy with Neptune where it's not real. Like, the siren's call sounds beautiful, but what it's promising us isn't really there. Like, Neptune energy is facade energy, which is why it brings about themes of, like, you know, artificial highs and things that we get lost in that really don't give us much. So I do want to highlight that Neptune in Aries is a longer term transit. We get a taste of it this year. And so particularly observing what is alive within your world, what it is that you feel tempted by during this time. It's especially important not to allow that siren's call of Neptune energy to sweep you away, because Saturn also enters this territory. Briefly, it will settle in for good next year. But from May 24th to September 1st, Saturn will enter Aries. Saturn does not like being in Aries. It's in its fall in this territory, but it does like being in the 12th house. So Saturn rejoices in the 12th house. It has its house joy in the 12th house. Because yes, Saturn energy can be consequences energy. It could be ramifications energy. It could be the sharp, pointy rocks that we take our ship to if we answer the siren's call, right? If we answer the Neptune, the desire to want to escape or numb our reality. Saturn energy is consequences energy. So there could be legitimate consequences if we go too far into the Neptune of it all, okay? But Saturn energy could be very, very helpful in getting clear around where we are our own self-undoing. Saturn energy can make us get very clear around our solitude, very clear around our intuition. Like with Saturn energy, having discipline around working the muscle of our intuition, working the muscle of trusting our instincts. Uranus has been in your sign, Taurus, since 2018. You are typically someone who is solid, stable, steady. You know, you are fixed earth as a sign. So you like what you like, you know what you like, you are patient, you are intentional, you are methodical. But with Uranus having been in your sign since 2018, you could have really gone through some shakeups in terms of your own sense of self. Some of you could have even came up aesthetic-wise. You've gone through multiple hair colors. You've gotten tattoos or things of that nature since 2018. You've gotten tattoos. You've experimented with new ways of dressing since 2018. That could absolutely be the story. And this energy could have also just shown up around you craving liberation from the typical path. Like, this could have been an energy that could have awakened you, literally, around looking at the conventional path, the expected path, and starting to think about things differently. And particularly thinking about the ways that you have molded and conformed, whether it was conscious or subconscious. And with Uranus energy, really wanting to be true to yourself, really wanting to disrupt any outdated mold where it's like, this doesn't feel like me any longer. This is no longer true to me and to my values, really, as a Taurus. And if you have Taurus placements between 23 to 29 degrees Taurus, that means in the year 2025, you will have a Uranus transit, which sometimes surfaces around a plot twist within our world, something surprising or unexpected coming about. Sometimes we are the plot twist, and there is a distinct desire to want to rebel. We can feel more restless. We could want to break free of what feels constrictive within our world. And that journey is coming to a close. Now, it does not officially conclude within the year 2025, but you do get a bit of a taste of its conclusion. So what do I mean by that? From July 7th to November 8th, Uranus will enter Gemini. So this Uranian march to the beat of my own drum, being eccentric, rebelling from what does not serve, trying on new ways of being, carving out my most authentic path. We get a taste of that era coming to a close this year from July 7th to November 8th when Uranus enters Gemini. And when Uranus enters Gemini, this is a new arena of your life that is being shaken up with this electric, eccentric Uranian energy. And this is your finances. This is your money. This is also your self-worth. And so with Uranus entering the second house, foreshadowing what is ahead in the years to come, the Uranus and Taurus energy officially concludes next year, you may find that you are inclined to want to switch up your income in some sort of way. You could want to make money in new ways. You could open yourself up to a new stream of income. Gemini is the twins. It governs duplicity. So maybe you're even craving, inviting in a new income stream. Maybe you're disrupting your typical financial habits in some sort of way. Maybe your values are shifting. Maybe you learned about something that unexpectedly shifts your values on something. Uranus is expect the unexpected energy. And this is showing up within your bank account, within your values, within your self-worth. So this is where Jupiter will be in the first portion of the year. So we've got Jupiter in this territory in the first portion of the year, Uranus in this territory within most of the second part of the year. A lot of you could be really thinking about your finances, where it is that you want to open yourself up to new streams of income. Uranus is very innovative energy. So you could even be contemplating like something that you want to invent to make yourself more money, or even with Uranus and Taurus, something that has to do with teaching or communicating, or even social media could be something that's bringing in unexpected income. It doesn't feel very steady, I'll tell you that. Uranus is a little bit of unstable energy, but it could be this energy of like creating an ebook and like having a month in which it goes viral and you get some money. Like that's the very nature of Uranus, is that it can bring unexpected spikes of income. And with Uranus energy and also with Pluto and Aquarius in the 10th house, like I said, be open for opportunity this year. Just if you see something where you're like, I bet I can make some money with this. Or if you have something to share, Gemini is around communication. With Uranus energy, you can open up a new income stream of some regard. Now, I need to be forthright that Uranus energy is surprise energy, for better and for worse. And so you could have some surprises within your bank account, not just this year, but throughout the duration of this transit. Or you can revolutionize or even liberate yourself from old ways of viewing money that no longer serve. Uranus energy could be very rebellious. So a lot of you could really allow your finances, what you're investing in, what you're not investing in, to do your rebellion for you, to vote with your dollar, in a sense, around what you are putting your money towards and what you are not, in order to build the world and the future that you believe in. Like second house is our values. And so I will say that some of you could go through some sort of change in your values. Maybe you learn about something with the energy of Gemini that does kind of shake up what it is that you value. You also could find maybe you've been in a cycle where you're just trying to earn as much as possible. And with Uranus energy, it makes you question, what do I really value out of this experience? Maybe that's even prompting some sort of new income stream or changing industries or something of that nature. You could also go through some liberations of old stories that you tell yourself around your worthiness. I see that with those retrogrades in your 12th house and Uranus and Gemini in the 3rd house. Some of you could have some kind of light bulb moments or ahas around stories that you tell yourself or ways of talking to yourself that are devaluing yourself actively, not seeing your true worth, not seeing your true value. Uranus energy could be light bulb moment energy, like a lightning bolt shock of awareness that just hits us out of nowhere around, wow, like I've been programming myself to see myself in this particular way. How can I shift the pattern? Because once we bring something to light, we give ourselves the opportunity to liberate from these old stories, from those old ways of seeing ourselves or even seeing our worthiness. And some of you could even communicate about money in novel ways with the Uranus energy here. You could want to rebel at your workplace in a certain regard or communicate around why you deserve to be paid your fair worth. This could even be something that you're sharing with your clients or something of that nature. If you're raising your prices, you're a freelancer or something of that nature. And on that note, I do want to say that Uranus in the 2nd house, like I said, it could bring ups and downs when it comes to our finances. But how I've seen some of my clients work with this energy is that if you've wanted to be a freelancer or you've wanted to shift into work where it's a little bit more kind of seasonal or inconsistent, Uranus energy can be helpful for that. So long as you kind of bob and weave with the unexpected energy of it, like not freaking out if it feels like work's drying up, and also saving when work is popping. Like Uranus energy can bring in some kind of inconsistencies when it comes to our finances that I do want to prepare you for. But again, Uranus energy could be restless energy. So if you are making money in a way that feels constricting to you, Uranus energy could be embracing, how can I innovate? how I make money in order to get more of my life back, or to at least build my life in alignment with my values if I don't value this any longer. Now, Uranus is not the only outer planet that's in your second house this year. Now, the two planets pass each other like ships in the night. Jupiter leaves this sector June 9th and Uranus enters this sector in July. So they're not here at the same time, but they're both enlivening the second house. And whereas Uranus can be inconsistent and rebellious, Jupiter is ultimately around expansiveness. And so the first portion this year, you could be really looking to grow your income. And again, maybe through multiple sources, with Gemini being the twins. But what I want to tell you about Jupiter energy is that Jupiter energy is excess energy. So while we could bring more money going in, we could also be spending more money going out. So I always advise with the energy of Jupiter and also with Uranus energy, I would just say it's good when the money's flowing in, but just make sure you're saving it for a rainy day. It's the biggest thing that I would say, as well as not letting your lifestyle like creep up. Of course, I know money's kind of funky right now, and I do honestly feel like Uranus leaving Taurus, because Taurus is a sign that has to do with finances, will help money stabilize. That is my hope anyway for the transit. And so you may feel this Jupiter energy around, gosh, I feel like I'm spending more money than ever before. But I would say with the energy of Jupiter, see where it is that you can grow your finances, where it is that you can save your finances, invest your finances, learn about it with Jupiter and Gemini, study about it, listen to podcasts about it if you're not sure. Some of you could even learn a new skill in order to make money in a new way. I feel randomly that some of you might become freelancers or do some contract work or something of the nature. The reason I say that is because on June 9th, Jupiter enters Cancer, which is its exaltation, so it's super cozy here. And this will enliven your third house, which does have to deal with learning, certifications. In the next month, Uranus enters second house. So it feels like you could learn something new that could be making money in a new way, or learning some technological skill that could bring in more money, something of that nature. But outside of learning, with Jupiter in the third house, some of you could be sharing more, you could be communicating more, you could want to start a podcast, you could want to share more on social media. Taurus, if there is any part of you that has wanted to share online, wanted to build an audience, wanted to write some sort of book or create some sort of community, I would deeply encourage you to prioritize that within the year 2025. Jupiter in Cancer in the third house is supportive of this. North Node in Pisces in the 11th house is supportive of this. And the two actually do trine one another in September. So just know this is a very supportive year for those intentions. Some of you randomly could get closer with extended family members, with neighbors, with siblings, with people around you. And again, when we think of Jupiter, it's also our morals. And so Jupiter in the third house could maybe encourage you to speak out about what it is that you believe in some regard. You know, when Jupiter enters this point, Uranus and Gemini will dip into the second house. Again, Gemini, communication, second house, values, Jupiter, the third house, communication. There could be something that you speak out about, something that you believe in that is important for you to voice, something that you can't rest easy in not vocalizing. You know, Jupiter energy is excess energy. And I want to particularly highlight that in June, Jupiter in the third house, which expands your thinking, your communicating, will square Saturn and square Neptune. It happens June 15th and then June 18th. So one after the other. And like we discussed, Saturn and Neptune are very different of energies. And so it just feels like there can be an energy around dealing with ramifications or consequences around what it is that you're speaking out against in some regard, especially if you are not doing your due diligence or even actively using deception with the square to Neptune. I would really advise against that. Saturn's there, so you don't want to deal with the consequences of it. But what I'm really feeling and sensing here, Taurus, is that third house is our mind. And with the energy of Jupiter in Cancer in the third house, it asks, how are you nourishing your mind? Is it helping you? Is it hindering you? Is it keeping you more in fantasy? That's the energy of Neptune, or keeping you in reality? Are you feeding your delusions or your paranoias? Like, there could be an energy coming alive in June around how it is that you are nourishing your mind and the worlds that you are creating with your mental stories. And again, not wanting to get too Saturnian with it, because then you'll be pessimistic and you'll be holding holding yourself back and indulging in self-limiting behaviors, but also not getting too Neptunian with it, which could be like God complex energy, living in fantasy, living in illusion. It asks for moderation. And ultimately, with Jupiter in the third house, yes, having a mental landscape that is nourishing with the energy of Cancer, right? That makes you feel good, where you are kind to yourself. But it's not dipping too far into reality, because again, 2025, it's a year that you're bringing your dreams to life, but also not getting too swept away into the confusion, illusion, and delusion of Neptune energy. Taurus, I know this year is a bit of a mixed bag in terms of the astrology that you are stepping into. And I want to encourage you to see where it is that you can lean into these themes. You have free will, you are a sovereign individual, and my own personal ethos when it comes to astrology is that these are themes for us to co-create with, that we are not victims to the cruel and mean planets above us, to look squarely in the face what themes are coming to the surface and really contemplate how it is that we want to lean into them for growth, for opportunity, for discovery. So I've crafted you some affirmations that are designed to support you in navigating this year. You can find a PDF of them below within the description, just in case you want to save it to your computer or even print them. And they're all crafted with your transits in mind as you navigate this year. So the affirmations are as follows. I empower novel solutions. I look for opportunities to expand and innovate my income. I am conscious of my impact. I step into my leadership. I step into my power. I am intentional with whom I choose to spend my time with. I get clear on my habits and if they are supporting me or hindering me. I go after what it is that I want. I use my voice intentionally and clearly. I balance dreaming with reality. I speak up about what is important to me. I encourage the mental dialogue that genuinely nourishes me. I embrace my authenticity. I build my dreams step by step, brick by brick. I exert discipline in order to make my dreams reality. My community is a genuine reflection of my values and what I aim to build. I call in soulmate friends, clients, connections, followers. I am open to learn new skills and new strategies. So Taurus, I would love to know, comment below, what are you consciously calling in with this astrology? Truly, with so many planets entering new territories of the sky, this year is a blank slate of sorts. There are new chapters that are beginning. Now, some of these chapters are a little messier than others, but really see wherever it is that you can embrace change. You might be a fixed earth sign, but this is definitely a year that's calling for us to embrace change individually and collectively. My loves, my Instagram handle is @HealyComAstrology. My TikTok is the same if you want to connect further. If this is your first time within the Cosmic Corner and you enjoyed the video, I would so appreciate to have your subscription or any little nudge of engagement, a like, a comment, a share would be so appreciated. I have all sorts of astrological content here on the channel designed intentionally to support you in co-creating your most magical life. So take a look at that if you resonate with my style. But until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.